Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Boulder Builders. Today, I'm so glad and honored to have my friend Yvonne to come to my show. Yvonne's it's a University of Colorado Boulder master student in major in organizational communications. So, Yvonne, give us a little bit of introduction. I know you're from Ghana. You came to the States, come to this beautiful place in Boulder, Colorado. Yeah. So, what were you doing before that? Give us a little background of your life.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
Nice to have this section come alive once
Yeah.
more. So from Ghana,
Uh-huh.
and Ghana, I'm from eastern part of Ghana,
Uh-huh.
and I went to college in University of Cape Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So per the name, is the school is surrounded with the with the
Uh-huh.
waters. So I went to University of Cape Coast, and I got my bachelor's in communication as well,
Yeah.
but with more of journalism focus.
Yeah.
And after I was done, I worked in National Signals Bureau 1 year for the government. So I was an emergency call dispatcher. So I worked there for 1 year, and after that, I applied for jobs, and I got into Majorel Ghana
Mm-hmm.
as a content analyst. Kind of did a bit of machine learning, training computers to be
Yeah.
able to recognize the human face. Basically, that was what I was doing. Then, whilst I was there, I had the plan to study abroad, and I realized I had second class upper during my college degree. So, like during my college program, I had second class upper, and I realized I could apply to study abroad, and I started putting in applications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you then applied to some master programs in the States
Yeah,
and got accepted by many,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And they
yeah,
got scholarships,
yeah,
full scholarships.
yeah,
So tell us more about that experience. Yeah.
yeah. It was kind of very tough when I
Mm-hmm.
was applying, because you have to search for a lot of schools that have your interests. And also in searching for them, I was using a strategy because I didn't have test scores, I didn't have GRE and GMAT.
Mm-hmm.
So I was targeting schools that were not requesting for test scores,
Mm-hmm.
because there are a
You
lot of
did your
schools.
homework.
Yeah, there's a lot of there are a lot of schools in the United
Yeah.
States.
Right.
You can just take Colorado. There are almost 4 to 5 universities here, one way or the other.
Right. Right.
So I
Yeah.
realized, okay, there are a lot of schools in the United States. Which of them will not request for WES evaluation? Which of them will not request for test scores? So I sampled almost 16 schools,
Yeah.
and I applied to 16 schools.
Uh
And
huh.
out of the 16, I got 5 fully funded scholarships.
Well, that's great to hear. So how did you pick Colorado?
Colorado, I think it was not part of the plan,
Yeah.
because getting recommendation letters to all these schools can be very tough,
Uh-huh.
especially with Ghana. It's not easy, because when I was in college, the class is a lot of people, so we don't get time to really relate with our professors. So sometimes when you go to them for recommendation letters, they
Yeah.
don't really know you like that, because one class you can get like 200 people in it. My class were like 200 or
Uh-huh.
190 something. So
Uh-huh.
the professor doesn't really know everyone.
Right.
So I think it makes sense why most students don't really get recommendation letters, because most of these professors don't know you. So it was a bit difficult for me, but I was proactive in my process, because I started applying to schools in 2022,
Yeah.
and I was targeting fall. I was targeting fall 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started in January 2022, I was speaking to professors in advance.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be applying to schools by August, September. So can you recommend me? So when it got to the time where I needed to apply, I already had like 4 people who wanted to recommend me. So that's how come I was able to apply to a lot of these schools. But like coming back to the question, Colorado was not part of the schools. It was a friend of mine
Mm-hmm.
who saw it on social media, and he said, this is a good school. And they were giving free waiver. So they were giving free application waiver.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, because that time I was not really having any savings. So I really, all the schools I applied to almost all the 15, 16 schools, I paid for just 3. All the others, it was free waived, like waiver.
Sometimes you just need to ask, right?
Good. So
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
one of the things I also did. Some schools, I just gave them a genuine reason why I couldn't pay, because sometimes you do the exchange rate, the dollars compared to the CDs, it's a lot of money. If you like, so I just sometimes reach out, tell
Yeah.
them I can't really pay the application fees, if you can take it off. And I got some schools taking it off for me.
Cool. Also, I remember you mentioned about you can negotiate on the scholarship side as well, right?
Yeah. You can do that. It's something that it's just like a job, when you are going for a job interview
Yeah.
and they tell you, okay, we're going to pay you 65K annually. Sometimes that is not the actual money
Mm-hmm.
like designated for the position you are going for.
Mm-hmm.
And also based on how you've worked in the field, based on your experience, you can negotiate and be like, I think because I've worked in this field for over 20 years and because I've been able to do this and that, sometimes you just have to show them what you are capable of
Yeah.
and
Show them
what
your value.
your
Yeah.
values, right? What if you make it 80K,
Yeah.
80K like annual, and you'll be shocked that they might actually go with your offer.
Yeah.
So I think this is really the same for schools. When you are coming, sometimes based on how good you are in a particular field, you can negotiate with your department. Especially, you should only do that if you have options.
Uh-huh.
If you have like other options, because sometimes they might not. And it doesn't also even matter if even if you don't have other options. Once you negotiate and they can't agree to your terms, it doesn't mean they are going to terminate what they've already assigned to you. So, but sometimes it's good to negotiate, and you can get a raise in your stipend and other stuff as well. Yeah.
So you navigated the whole process yourself,
Yeah.
finding sorting through schools in the states, finding the right programs
Yeah.
you want to apply to, and then making a decision where to go. So you have gained all those experience,
Yeah.
right, to be admitted to a master program in the
Yeah.
states, and then how's your how's your experience so far being in the program and being in Boulder for 2 years, being in the great community in Boulder, right?
Experience has been very good,
Yeah.
honestly. And sometimes if I'm thinking about the next phase or the next thing to do after school, honestly, I don't want to leave Boulder. Boulder is a very cool place
Hmm.
for a whole lot of things,
Very
honestly.
pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, when it snows, you see the snow on the mountain.
Hmm.
I'm like, whoa, you can't get this anywhere. I've been to Dallas 4 times. I've
Hmm.
been to other states. It's not, the
Yeah.
vibe is different.
Yeah. Even snows here, say like a half a foot or a foot. So typically in the second day it will be very sunny.
Yeah,
So still be very pleasant.
that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really love it like that. Like it's cold, but it's also sunny,
Hmm.
and it gives you like a different vibe altogether. So yeah, I think the school selection and me coming here, the experience, it has been very, very phenomenal,
Hmm.
because I realized certain differences back home. College, it was different, and I've had colleagues who also gained their master's degree in Ghana, and how different it is. So I think, yeah, the nuances and like the different perspectives that I've seen here
Hmm.
is very, very different, especially the US education system. And I must say, I've really learned a lot for the past years. I've really learned a lot with the US education system. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us more about your different the experience in just comparing your experience, your college experience in
Yeah.
Ghana and versus the graduate school experience in CU Boulder.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, even I can make the comparison and even do it even at the college level, because I teach. I'm a TA teaching assistant, so I teach the college students, undergraduates, freshmen, sophomore, and
Uh-huh.
sometimes even seniors. And I sometimes I look at how the courses have been structured
Yeah.
for them, and I'm able to reflect how it was like for me in Ghana, and
Hmm.
it's very different. In Ghana, we do sit down exams, like you go into a room to write exams,
Hmm.
that is how it is done. And mostly like 60% is going to be for the exams, and 40% mostly is for class assignments,
Yeah.
you know. But here is different. Here, graduate school, it's like we need your participation. So
Hmm.
class participation can be 40%, and your final
Hmm.
project will also be 60. It depends on every school. Sometimes it's 50-50. But one thing about the US education system, participation in class is very key.
Yeah.
You got to talk no
Right.
matter what.
Yeah.
We have to, you have to talk, because if you don't talk, then it will go
Uh-huh.
against your participation.
Yeah.
You get a point. And in Ghana, is I'll use this phrase, chew and pour, like chew and pour. Chew
Uh-huh.
and pour is like you memorize
Yeah.
and you go and pour
The
it.
teacher tells you what it is,
Yeah,
right? And then you just need to receive it.
yeah,
Yeah.
receive it and you just go and
Uh-huh.
reproduce what
Uh-huh.
you are being taught,
Uh-huh.
which sometimes I felt because sometimes a student might not come to class.
Hmm.
A student might, the whole semester, the
Hmm.
student might not come to class, but they have the textbook. So when it's time for exams, they
There's
just memorize and come
yeah.
and write. And they can even pass and do well as compared to you that always went to class.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel it's a cheat on the part of the students that were always in class and all of that. But one thing that I've learned in the US education system is not like that.
Mm.
You will not do chew and pour. The education system here doesn't put you in a way where you have to memorize.
Right.
But at the end of the semester, you also know you've really learned something. That is
Uh-huh.
how serious it is.
Right.
And it's very applicable. You can apply the things you are learning.
Yeah.
So that is some of the things, yeah.
I think what you talk about in Ghana, how your experience in colleges in Ghana is kind of similar than my experience in China.
Oh, okay.
It's I mean it's kind of similar to the experience in high school and junior high as well, and it's not so much different. So it's pretty much the professors tells you what it is, and then you just need to take it and need to reflect on the assignments and on the finals.
Yeah.
So in the States, it's takes you so much more participation, right? Because the schools here look at you, your value, not
Yeah.
only what you could do on the final exams, right,
Yeah.
or assignment, what you write, but also how you contribute to the classroom discussions.
Yeah.
How your classmate could learn from your contributions, your thoughts
Yeah.
being shared, right? And I think that's great. I think it is my experience in the business school in CU Boulder. It's like there's so many good discussions, right? So
Yeah.
I learned a lot from professors, but I also learned a lot from classmates.
Yeah.
So that's the value that's from an awesome group of classmates.
Also,
right?
so true.
Right. And in China, in the college, you don't really hear so much about the discussions or questions being asked in the classroom. The professors don't need you to ask questions.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't mind, but it's not so much dynamic there. Yeah.
It's true. Even with the graduate level, I was telling someone, I've been to a class where we were just five for the whole entire semester. It was just five people. So five people in a class, the sample size, there is no way you can hide. There is no way you try not, because if you don't talk, the professor will. And sometimes if you are quiet for a while, they can ask you in like office hours.
Yeah.
It seems you're always quiet in class. Is there anything I can help you
Right.
to be able to speak? And I'm not saying this to say there are no downsides like to the US education system, because over the years, like I've seen one thing that they really lacking is like how to work in groups. The kids are not good at that. But in Ghana, we used to go about that like in a very good, like it was easy. It came naturally, like working in groups in Ghana, although
Yeah.
it poses, or we had our own challenges during those times. But here it's like that whole idea, the kids or the students don't even like it at all. Like when you tell them to work in groups, one person will just do it and the others might not even come for the meeting times and all of that. So
Right.
those are some of the things that I realized. But honestly, the US education system, it has been structured in a way that you shouldn't fail. Like it has been structured in a way that if you put in the little effort, you're going to get your A. Because
Yeah.
for my class, for instance, my professor teaches on Monday, he teaches on Wednesday. That is the full class. And on Friday, I go in to teach again as
Yeah.
recitation section to reflect on some of the course concept.
Mm-hmm.
They have office hours with me, and they also have office hours with the professor.
Mm-hmm.
But that was not the case in Ghana, So here it's like everything has been structured in a way that it really favors you, the student. So yeah.
Yeah. So what's anything that you appreciate more about the experience in Ghana?
I think Ghana taught me the hard way,
Yeah.
and that is how come I'm able to survive here.
Yeah.
Because when I came here, it was very hard for me. I say this a lot, that I nearly dropped out because things were too overwhelming. Because I was used to the memorizing,
Uh-huh.
but here it's not like that. I've even had an talk to someone where the person was like, I went to the exams hall memorizing. I think the person was going to write a math like exams. Also, the person memorized the formulas. He went there. They gave him a book where all the formulas were in. But it's also not easy. They might produce or give you the things. They might give you like open book. They might give you, oh, use your lap. But it's not going to come easy. You still have
Mm-hmm.
to think critically about it. But
Right.
I think one thing I appreciate from Ghana is the fact that UCC, University of Cape Coast, like they will train you the hard way to really be, because I can count about almost 100 people from school who are able to come here to study,
Mm-hmm.
especially from the school I completed. Like
Yeah.
most of the students who completed the school I completed, they always make it through here. I'm not saying this to shade the other schools, but the treatment that we get at University of Cape Coast, because they treat you to become like someone in academics, like academician or whatever. So it's like that kind of discipline,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of taking your book serious. Because there was this notion in Ghana that
Mm-hmm.
our school, we go for preps or we go for like evening classes. And I'm like, that is a university. Which university forcefully allows their students to go for evening classes? But it was one of the cliche things that people used to say,
Mm-hmm.
just to let people know that UCC is more disciplined, and it's like it will put you on your toes. You don't have to joke around with your education. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying this, like I said, to shade other schools, because other schools are very good. But I think that is one thing that helped me, that I really appreciate. That
Mm-hmm.
times that I wanted to give up here, it was that kind of hardness, that kind of resiliency, that kind of push through
Uh-huh.
that I got from UCC is what really helped me to survive here.
Yeah, the schools in Ghana and the college in Ghana kind of help you build a solid foundation, right?
Right,
Academically.
right,
Yeah, yeah,
right, right.
yeah. Yeah, I agree that, and especially some Chinese students from and Indian students, they especially those come to the computer science or some research heavy majors, they need really solid like math foundation
Yeah.
for to further their academics.
If the foundations are
Yeah.
destroyed, what would the righteous do? So your foundation must be very
Uh-huh.
strong,
Right. It's
because
kind of like a house built on the rock instead of
that's it.
sands, right?
That's it. It's going to push you through. So
Yeah.
if you don't get the foundation right,
Mm-hmm.
then you are really going to struggle no matter what. Because even those who get it right still face some challenges. So imagine you not getting it right at all. It means your challenges might double up. So you
Mm-hmm.
should just be cautious about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I think about say like Chinese college, higher
Yeah.
education versus Americans, so it's like still in colleges like in China, it's kind of like Ghana. The professors kind of tells you what it is, like results, like an answer,
Yeah.
right? And then in America, it's more opportunities for you to discuss it, to have a conversations, a group like, projects,
Yeah.
right? You figured out something, you created something new. Yeah, you got to be innovative.
Yeah.
You got to be more creative.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a more of a real life.
Mhm.
After you're out of school, when you say start a company, doing work in your business, solve a major problem
Yeah.
in higher education in Ghana or America
Yeah.
or somewhere, you are facing real issues.
Yeah.
You need to deal with people. You need to deal with government. You need to find out like if there's a money issue. You need to
Yeah.
figure those out. It's not like a textbook.
Mm-mm.
We
That's
got to
true.
we need to like
Yeah.
figure things out, right?
No,
Solve the problem.
that's true. I think
Yeah.
in Ghana we have what we call National Science and Maths Quiz.
Mm-hmm.
So all the high schools in Ghana, they do competition, and out of the competition, like we're going to get the best student
Mm-hmm.
who was able to win or top all the other high school. And there was this particular year, I'm not going to mention the name of the school, but there was this particular year that the students who won, like from a particular school in Ghana, it's National Science and Math School. So basically, they are tested on their on the basics of science and also like maths and all of that. So they topped. They were the overall, good students, and they had opportunity to think come to the States or somewhere else. And when they were given the practical aspect of the things that they topped in Ghana, they
Mm-hmm.
failed. You get the
Mm-hmm.
point? These were the best students in Ghana. But
Mm-hmm.
when they came outside of Ghana to go and practicalize the theories, they couldn't perform. They failed. So
Mm-hmm.
that is how it is. Like we are always taught to memorize stuff, but it goes beyond that. Because like you said, when you go to the field, it's not just about memorizing.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I ask myself, what have I learned here as an organizational communication expert? It's my ability to identify problems.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how we make money in this world.
Mm-hmm. That's your value, right?
Ma-
You solve a problem in the
Problems,
world,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Show me a problem. Show
Yeah.
me how to figure it out.
Uh-huh. Right.
Then you make money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That
Money
is that.
follows the value.
Yeah. So it's like a gap. Oh, okay, I've seen this gap here. How do we fill this gap? Or how do we get rid of this gap? So that is my years here. That is how it has been like. And honestly, I tell people, if you don't like writing, then my program is not for you. I don't know, for the other programs it's going to be very different, but my program, every course that I take, I write almost 3,000, 2,500 words for my every semester. Any course that I take, I write almost 3,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not something that you can just pick online and just write, because they're going to find out. You have to think critically.
Yeah.
Your topic. Oh, okay. What is your topic addressing? What are the what's? What are the whys?
Mm-hmm.
Why this topic? What hasn't been done before?
Mm-hmm.
So it gets you to think, it gets you to read a lot of literature. Oh, this is what a lot of people have done about this area.
Uh-huh.
Okay, what didn't they do?
Yeah.
What didn't they tackle? That is what you want to tackle. Then
Right.
it makes your work very new. So sometimes I tell people, if what you are going to talk about in your project has already been done,
Mm-hmm.
it means there is no use. Because if it has been done, why are you also doing something that someone has done already? So always you have to make sure you are finding something that nobody has paid attention to,
Mm-hmm.
and you are going to say, I'm bringing value to this. I'm bringing, a new perspective to this, and that is what makes you a scholar.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. Like college is really it's not about like just exam. You pass exam, you passed it, right?
Goes
So
beyond
it's real life is like you actually need to solve actual problems. Yeah. So I think I appreciate the system here that just to give you a lot of opportunities to solve small problems at school,
Yeah.
right? And then write a paper or work on a group project, right?
Yeah.
And then I think America's doing great on that actually,
Yeah.
in general. So
You're doing well, honestly, and it makes you confidence as well. Like you are very confident of yourself and your environment. Like you are not you are not afraid to question
uh-huh.
like authorities or structures, like systems. Like that's how the U.S. education system. Like it makes you one way or the other become very confident of yourself, bold to question certain things that are in society, maybe conventional or traditional way of doing things. You learn, you get new perspective, and you be like, no, I don't think this thing is being done right. So you start questioning some of
Right.
these things. So, like you said, it makes you a critical, analytical thinker.
Yeah. You in America, you could question the professors, right?
Yeah.
You could have questioned the professors publicly in the classroom. I mean, you don't purposely like shame that person, but I'm saying like it's possible.
Yeah.
In the States, it's totally it's very often that students have different answers,
Yeah.
different understandings or thoughts than the professor who is teaching, right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's
In
true.
some places, in the world, it's not the case,
Hmm.
right? And then
Hmm.
they don't like you to
Question.
question
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
authority, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. I think even in Ghana, there were some professors that I was afraid of one way or the other, not because of anything, but sometimes how they even appear.
Uh-huh.
How they appear, the way they talk, their mannerisms,
Hmm.
in a way, even puts fear in you as a student.
Hmm.
So I think that's why some students are not really able to have that encounters with their prof. But US is very, very different. Like,
Hmm.
I think it's something that the system intentionally allows.
Yeah.
You come to the level of the student,
Hmm.
because sometimes there is something a student can share with you as a professor
Hmm.
they might not even be able to share with their guidance.
Right.
But that is not also to say, take it more personal, because the school also doesn't allow like certain personal stuff or certain personal matters. But at least that student professor relationship should always be there, where if there is anything bothering you or you have doubts, you should ask your professor. And your
Hmm.
professor will always be in a very good position to give
Hmm.
you answers. And sometimes, even if they can't give you answers, they will direct you to where to find
Right.
answers.
Super helpful.
Yeah, very, very, very
Very
helpful.
supportive.
Yeah, don't get lost.
Yeah, support you to to find what you need and provide resources.
Yeah,
I appreciate so many professors in the business school
well,
in University of Colorado
that's so
Boulder.
good. Some of them are very, very good, honestly,
Yeah.
with what they do. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So that kind of similar than when I think about you could have different answers, different understandings. You could question the professor. It's kind of like a critical thinking,
Yeah.
right? You have your own thinking. The professor shares what the professor thinks, right? But also you don't have to agree.
Yeah.
You could agree, but you don't. If you don't agree, you could speak. You could speak up,
Yeah.
right? And that's the classrooms in the United States,
Hmm.
right? I mean, also kind of like even like a politics in the states, right? So there's different candidates. You could you talk to each other, like there's platforms, there's a stage
Yeah.
for candidates to compete
Yeah.
in this country. There's kind of there's a lot of problems. There's corruptions as well in the states, as
Hmm.
Elon Musk is finding out right now. But in general, there's still a great democracy here
Yeah.
that people, the American people could criticize the government,
Yeah.
right? And then if the government is not doing a good job, we could fire the government. We could have another government,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Elect
good.
another party or
Hmm.
another candidate to run the government.
Yeah.
It's kind of like hired by the people here.
Yeah.
It's for the people,
For the
right?
people, by the people.
Right. We the people, right? So I think that's kind of similar. That there's a room for people to speak up, no matter in the academic classroom
Yeah.
or in the government running, operations,
Yeah.
right? The executive operations. So, but also I feel like it's just just our conversation.
Yeah.
I thought about that kind of to do with critical thinking. That
Mhm.
has to do with academic environment, political environment, right? But also when I feel like there's a difference, in places like where I'm from originally, like China. So people kind of, they honor the people authority, right? They
Mhm.
honor the people. They kind of honor the people who are on the higher position,
Yeah.
right? They feel like, oh, that person's super wealthy. That person is, achieved so much in academically, whatever. That person is an entrepreneur. He's successful, so everything he says
Yeah.
is correct. I don't doubt that person. I
Mhm.
don't say different things than that person. I have to agree with that person. But in the states, in the Western world, people feel like they see their value, right? I mean,
Mm.
that person is great, and that person achieved so much, is super wealthy, but I don't have to follow everything of what that person does.
Right.
So it's more of like a self recognition,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's more, I see so much more in the states, because I think there's a lot to do with how they see themselves.
Mhm.
We see, in America, a lot of people understand that we might achieve differently, right?
Mhm.
um, but God created us equally.
Yeah.
God gave us different strength,
Mm.
right? So they value themselves. I think that's kind of made a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's how the take what the Bible tells them. Hey, God created us equally, and God gave us different strength,
Yeah.
and we're different. We function differently in the world,
Yeah.
right? So I think that can make a huge difference.
Yeah,
Right?
it does. I think, yeah, your articulations are
Yeah.
right, like spot on,
Yeah.
because uh, I think it's even the same in Ghana, where it's not even the same, it's different. Where there's this popular quote where they say, like, the elderly,
Yeah.
or the elderly is always right, or,
Right. Right.
but that is not always the case, because
Yeah.
when we keep on pushing with such notions,
Hmm.
then it make it look like even when the elderly is not making a good point in certain situation, because we have this idea that the elderly is always right, we shouldn't question it. And even today in my class, I was talking to my students and I told them, in Ghana, sometimes people don't want to share their age,
Mm.
because if I tell you my age and you are older than me,
Yeah.
it might reflect in how you might treat me.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to treat, okay, so I'm 20, maybe you are 26. He's 20. Oh, then let me talk to him anyhow.
Hmm.
So it's like, people treat you the way they want to treat you
Hmm.
because you told them your age.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be the case. You
Right.
should treat people, equally. You
Hmm.
shouldn't know my age before you accord me respect in society.
Right.
You
Right.
shouldn't know my age before you question certain bad things that I'm doing. If it's
Right.
wrong, it's wrong. If it's
Hmm.
good, it's good. Forget about
Right.
the age. And I think, like you said, here gives you that opportunity to be able to, because see these kids and they are very confident they can question you
Uh-huh.
any way they want. And but just that sometimes you there's a way you can question authority, or there's a way you can approach someone in a way that it wouldn't sound like you are being disrespectful,
Hmm.
or it wouldn't sound like the tone is really harsh or something. And I think I've encountered one or two people who are very good at that. They
Hmm.
might question what you're doing, but how they are going to put it, you might not even know that they are really questioning what you are
Right.
doing. So I think it's a very good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar like the Chinese culture as well. You
Mm.
don't question the older,
Elderly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
the fathers and mothers and the parents, right? You honor them. You kind of yeah. So fortunately, yeah, so from my generation, the culture on that part has been kind of shifting.
Mm.
More and more parents in China start, like really honoring the kids, even though they're little.
Yeah.
You treat them more of as a independent person.
Wow.
So I think that I'm glad to see that.
Yeah.
The newer, younger generation have more of their own thoughts, their independent thoughts. They're
Right.
recognizing themselves as independent individuals.
Yeah.
So they started seeing the value. They honor their parents, but they don't have to listen to their parents all the time.
Right.
If it's not correct, they should make their own decisions.
Hmm.
That's I think that's a great step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Well, if your mom tells you, you know what, I think I want you to be a doctor. But mom, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be maybe a singer.
Right.
So back home is really, I had friends where they went to pursue certain courses in university or in college that they didn't like. They did it because their parents told them, hey,
Hmm.
I want you to go and do this. And there's this one that where the guy, his dad is a famous politician in Ghana. And he's not even a politician, like he's like a lawyer, a judge.
Hmm.
And he took his son to school to study law so that his son could take after him. Like,
Hmm.
the son came by, said, Dad, I'm done. This is your certificate. I'm going to pursue my music career.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because that's how we are brought up mostly. Sometimes we are not brought up in a way for us to be independent of our decisions.
Hmm.
Mostly you see the kids always dependent on the parents. And that's why when there is separation, the kids really struggle because
Hmm.
they were not taught how to live
Hmm.
independent. I really was fortunate because I went to boarding school at a very tender age without any kind of parental guidance.
Mhm.
So I was able to learn stuff the hard way, independently in the boarding school
Mhm.
because I was not home often. So because I was in boarding school throughout my life, throughout my middle school, high school, college, always boarding. So it taught me to be independent, and I
Mhm.
feel it really helped me when I came to the States because
Mhm.
US is an independent like people are
Mhm.
very individualistic
Right.
and independent. You know, they don't care about what you're doing. Everyone is dependent on themselves, and it makes it hard sometimes. But if you're able to learn how it works, it really helps you as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents purposely trained me to be independent when I was little. Like we had a small store in the little town,
Hmm.
so there are lots some people like need to pay us back some bills, and even when I was 6 or 8, like my dad sent me to independently like a walk to the other side of the town
Hmm.
to ask for the money back ask for payments.
Mm.
So they wanted me to figure out how to get there, ask around how to get to that person's house and ask, hey, this is the bill, can you pay me right
That
now?
was a good one.
Yeah. And also when I was 12 years old, my parents sent me to like from my hometown to like middle part of China to see some to stay with another relative for two
Mm.
weeks.
Wow.
So my one of my cousins and me, just two of us, take the train from China to 24 hours to get to that destination. And my dad gave me some money to spend, and he wanted me to spend that money. He
Wow.
wanted me to to enjoy the time and spend the money and get. So it was a great experience. Just
Wow.
trained me to be. That was one experience is that trained me to be more independent and fear not of just being, hey, I'm just 12 years old kid
Dependent.
and I
Yeah.
could still do things. I could still travel and that's half of China.
Yeah.
I could still like spend 2 weeks just in another place of China,
Yeah.
enjoy some time. And so when I go into college, I wanted to get out of China to go to to study abroad, but it wasn't a good time, right timing yet for my parents' understanding. That's fine, they didn't want me to go to. And then after college, or by the time I before graduate from college, I
Hmm.
wanted to I searched many different places like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, like European countries like
Yeah.
France, Germany, because they have low tuition stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't think about America anyway. So later on, find out some opportunities to come to the States for graduate school.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the whole process, I was motivated to figure things out,
Hmm.
to research on my own,
On your own.
like where should I do, where should I
Yeah.
go, what should I do,
Yeah.
right? If I go to get out of China for graduate school, what kind of country should I go? Japan, speak Japanese, like European countries, Canada or America or Australia. So there's a lot of things for myself to figure it out,
Yeah.
right? So so that but the previous trainings or experience helped me to be independent, to figure things by myself, and yeah, to I
It,
think that's a great thing. And then
it's
I
a great.
figured out like also eventually decide to come to States and look at all those school information and
Yeah.
then apply by myself, get all the documents ready by myself. So that's, I think I enjoy the process. And
It's really good. And some things are there when you don't experience it, you never appreciate them.
Mhm,
You got to experience it before you appreciate.
mhm,
But it was through those experiences you came here and you now appreciate those times.
mhm,
But honestly, those times you might not really love the idea of your father sending you,
mhm,
how can I go alone? You'll be questioning your dad. But today you come here and you really appreciate the fact that he enabled you to think on your own. And sometimes I help people apply to schools
mhm.
abroad,
Right.
and how they approach me, I realize like you are not really ready for study abroad because
Uh-huh.
even if you come to me that I should write your statement of purpose for you, that
Mhm,
is something personal. Sometimes someone is um, there are some petty things that I feel people should be able to figure it out. Now there
mhm,
is University of YouTube. there's Google. But people don't want to really become independent and search for some of these things every time, depending on people and all of that. And I always tell people there is something you get out of your ability
Hmm.
trying to apply to schools on your own. There is something you get from it that you only see it when you come here. Because if you are not able to go through that
Right.
process,
Yeah.
when you come here, things might be too overwhelming for you and you might not be able to finish your degree. But when you tell people this, they are like, no, that's not the no, that's the case. Because when you come here, you'll be writing and no one will write for you.
Yeah.
So even if you are back home and you can't write your statement of purpose, how do you write 3,000 words? How do you write 2,500 words on
Yeah.
your own? So it is what it is.
Well, I mean, yeah. So, but also people, a lot of people don't say like if they want to come to States, right? They don't want to search for
They
schools.
want to put in the
They
work.
want you to work on it. That's that's how you could help them, right?
If you that one you pay for my service,
Right,
so I
right.
can do it for you. Yeah,
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 tell us more about your services. Your YouTube channel as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's doing great.
Yeah.
Like you said, you applied to schools yourself, so I did also by myself.
Yeah.
And through the process, because I didn't use any agent, I was
Hmm.
able to learn,
Hmm.
the nitty gritties of the thing. Like I was
Very
able to,
hands-on, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I was like, and I remember telling my friends who I escorted to the airport when they were coming to the state, I said, when you come to the state, open a YouTube channel, tell people about your experience.
Hmm.
All of them, they didn't do it. So
Hmm.
when I got opportunity to come, I gave this advice to like 3 or 4 people. They didn't do it because I'm busy. US works with time. I couldn't get time to do
Hmm.
those. So okay, when I came, I said I will do it. It was not easy at first, looking into the camera, positioning myself in a way, but you always have to press record. You just have to start. Pinewood will say,
Right.
start now, start small, stay faithful. So I started,
Hmm.
and it's been very good for me. I think
Hmm.
so far I have almost 40,000 followers across all the social
It's
media.
impressive, dude.
And that's but when I started, it wasn't like that. When I started, it was very little with the audience. But
Yeah.
as time went on and I stayed consistent with the educational content, it has grown and it keeps growing. And I keep having sections on my YouTube platforms and I keep helping people. So if you are watching this and you are back home, wherever you are, Africa,
Hmm.
Asia, wherever,
Hmm.
once you are coming to the United States as an international student, I can help you to navigate the process, and it comes with you paying for my services. But I also have free sections. I
Hmm.
have free sessions where I prep people to go and ace their mock visa interview.
Yeah.
So I do that every year. And I also every year I also have mentorship programs. So that one is a paid mentorship program where I bring a lot of potential students on board and I prep them. I take them through the process, how to
Hmm.
send code emails, how to write statement of purpose, how to structure an academic CV, how to, reach out to a supervisor. So I take students through that, and the results it has been good so far. I've been able
Hmm.
to help students come here to study.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's what I do. My content is based on like educational content or educational study abroad content. So anything study abroad, I do visa stuff, I do embassy issues and all of that. Just that I'm sending this as a caution that I'm not a visa agent and I'm not an immigration officer. I just do this based on my experience, based on the process. I just teach people what I went through, and yeah, it's been good so far.
Uh-huh. Cool. Yeah, I believe, your experience is super valuable
Yeah,
to help the people who considering coming to the States.
yeah.
Also, you're a person, that's very responsible.
Thank you,
You
thank you,
love people.
thank you.
You care for people. You care for people in the sense, you care for, what's the best for them.
Yeah,
Not necessarily, using your services,
yeah,
but also really, like you said, some people, don't know so much about the States yet.
yeah,
That they might So your advice will help them even navigate if that's the right thing to do,
Yeah.
and where to go, not necessarily pursue the highest ranked school,
Mhm.
whatever you consider. Yeah, I mean, because my understanding for you is that care for their interest
Yeah.
more than your interest. So
Ah,
you will be a great person, I believe.
I have this message I'm trying to share it. I don't know if the camera can capture it,
Yeah.
but I'm just showing it. So this one of the feedbacks I got from
Hmm.
one of the guys. He says, "Greetings, my boss. Please, I would like to thank you for the competitively informative videos you've been posting on Facebook. I am thrilled to inform you that after all my applications were rejected in 2022 and three rejections this year, Boston University has finally said yes with a merit scholarship of $22,500.
Woohoo.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Colorado and Iowa State University. So these are some of the messages I receive from people, and sometimes some of them I've not had encounter. They just watch my videos. They
Yeah.
just watch my sessions, and
Yeah.
based on that, they follow the process. They
Yeah.
follow the steps, and it works for them.
Man,
Yeah,
you are blessing a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of
that's a good
people,
one.
it's changing their lives.
I'm telling you, it's a huge benefit for me and for
Hmm.
them as well, because when I see some of these things, I'm happy.
Hmm.
He didn't pay for any of my services, and like I said, it's not everything I charge. Most of the things I do is for free. The sessions I have, the bringing people on board to share their experience, it's just free on my platform. Go to my platform, it's there. I show you the step by step approaches,
Hmm.
So sometimes what makes me feel blessed with the fact that my things are really helping people is when people are seeing results.
Hmm.
So when I see some of these messages, I feel some form of satisfaction in me as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you find a satisfaction when you really helping people,
Yeah, when
right?
people are seeing results with my
Uh-huh.
videos, I find satisfaction one way or the other.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, I know you're a Christ follower,
Yeah.
right? So I believe that, that satisfaction, that pure, the authentic the satisfaction or the motivation of helping people. I mean, of course, eventually, if you start a business one day, right, that brings profit. That's great. But also, when you talk about, when you purely helping other people, that really brings you the satisfaction, the joy, right, in doing it. Um, so share with us a little more about how God has been playing a role in that.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And
Yeah.
yeah, I always say this, I can't really take it out of, like, wherever I am today,
Hmm.
I give thanks to God because He purported me coming here, and He was with me throughout, and He is still with me. And yeah, I can't take God out. I give Him all the glory, honestly, because I couldn't have achieved and do more,
Hmm.
honestly, without God. Because I always tell people, I don't know who is going for their visas in Ghana and they don't pray about the process. Whether you like it or not, you're going to pray about it. So
Hmm.
it tells you the spirituality aspect of the school application.
Hmm.
Honestly, I believe in spirituality,
Hmm.
and I believe, the world is not just the physical,
Hmm.
like just the physical things we see. I believe there is another side of it, which is the
Yeah.
spiritual. So
Hmm.
I tell people, sometimes I tell people, you went for your visa interview, you got rejected for the first time, second time. Okay. For the third time, you have to pray. Pray and fast about it because that might be what will change. And people do it and it works for them. You get a
Hmm.
point. So I think God has been very um he has been with me throughout this journey.
Hmm.
I remember when I was in high school, I used to take a lot of um Christian roles, trying to help people, trying to preach the salvation message for people to change from their evil ways. And I believe even as of now, it has not changed. It is still there. We still have the ability to still preach to people for them to change from their ways that is not in alignment with what the Bible says or with what God says. So I
Hmm.
think my journey with God has been very good. Just that, US is very different when it comes to worship, when it comes to serving God, when it comes to the things of it's very different from what I was used to
Hmm.
back home. But I've come to really appreciate the nuances because it's very, very, very different. You can't go to an American Bible studies without you knowing what a particular
Uh-huh.
scripture is saying. You have to know, you can't quote wrong. You can't say anything just anyhow,
Yeah.
because these people are very good when it comes to the Bible. They know what is said here, the context, everything. So you don't just go there and say anything anyhow. And I really appreciate
Yeah. So I amen, brother. So when I think about God, some people don't really know God yet. So it's not really my understanding. Some people feel like people who are believers, right? Christ follower, they follow Jesus. They follow this God. It's kind of like to them. Some people might think those people just have kind of like making like a comfort to themselves, believing there's a God, or imagining there's a God, that you feel better,
it. Yeah.
right? And you have something you could um, uh, kind of look up to. But the truth is, it's not like a religion. It's not something you create in your mind. It's actually God does exist. God is there. God is true.
Yeah.
And it's not like when some of my friends asking me, having conversations about it, I was telling them, hey, it's not like I believe in God. I know there's a God there. I
Mm,
know.
mm,
It's not
mm,
like I believe. It's not like I help, like I force myself or try to persuade myself to believe. It's like I know God
mm.
is there. God does exist.
He does exist,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
is you don't worship God even based on feelings.
right.
You don't go to church just because you feel like you feel like going. No,
Mhm,
it's not feelings. Like, you have to make sure it's a must. It's something that you are consistently doing.
mhm,
And even times you don't feel like doing it, those are the times you got to do it.
mhm,
Because honestly, the accuser of brethren is really doing a lot. Like,
mhm,
you come to the States and you see how we normalize things.
mhm,
It's not. No, the devil is really using a lot of schemes
mhm,
to appear very, okay in the eyes of people, in the sight of people. Oh, it's nothing. But when you open it, just not just the surface level or the face value, but when you go deeper, you realize, there is a lot of debt, there is a lot of things under the carpet that is actually happening. So, like you said,
mhm,
it's not just a feeling, and it's not also just like it's a relationship. That is the whole concept of
mhm.
Christianity.
Yeah.
A relationship with who? With the Father, with the Son, with the Holy Ghost. You have a relationship with them. Anything you do, you consult them, you talk to them, you pray to them, and it works like something. But I don't know why people don't really see
Mhm,
the power in Christ Jesus, because honestly, He's able to do exceedingly
mhm,
abundantly above what we even think as
mhm.
humans. So sometimes it's not your degree. Your degree counts. It's very good. Sometimes it's not about your career. Yeah, your career counts, but
Yeah.
what's this? What's the benefit
Mhm,
when there is no Christ in those things? You need Christ,
mhm.
honestly.
Yeah. A lot of people in Boulder, they want to be kind. They
Hmm.
promote kindness, which is awesome,
Yeah,
right? And I appreciate the community here. A lot of people are nice. They're
yeah,
kind, right? They try to be kind to each other. But the thing is, um, so it's different than really knowing the love actually God defines.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's different.
It's very, very different.
When you see God, when you actually see His face, when you actually have the presence of God in your life, when the Holy Spirit lives in you, you see things differently.
Yeah,
You see love differently. You
yeah,
see kindness differently.
yeah,
And when I share gospel to some people right after I became believers in China, when I was junior year in
yeah.
China. So I said, well, there's nothing you cannot see God, right? You cannot hear Him. You cannot really feel Him sometimes. So there is really hard for me to. I cannot approve that God exists. But it's like the way you could get connected to God is really ask Him to come to your life.
Mm,
You can't. It's really hard for us to find God, to do scientific research to prove God exists or not, right? It's really that's the only thing that you need to have him come to you,
Yeah.
right? You just need to open your heart to say, hey God, I'm open. I need you.
Yeah.
And then come to my life, speak to me,
Yeah.
tell me who you are, show me in my life, show me who you are, and then God will do the work. And like it's kind of like we're here, God is there. It's hard for us to come there, but God come to you, come to us.
Yeah.
It's kind of like He sent Jesus to us,
Mm-hmm.
right? We cannot like get rid of all the sins, like to have the salvation by our work.
No.
But Jesus come to us.
Yeah.
God Himself come to us. Hey, say Him, I died on the cross for you.
Yeah.
You just need to believe it.
Yeah.
It's kind of that easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's there's something that in the world like that, it's not really by our work, but by His work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
By His grace,
Does. Yeah. It's God's grace that
Yeah.
gets us where we are as human beings, because like you said, our ability
Mm-hmm.
and our human thinking, like it can't really take us where God would like to take us, because we are limited,
Mm-hmm.
but God is not.
Mm-hmm.
So you were saying something about your kindness alone can't get you to heaven.
Yeah.
You being kind doesn't mean you are going to heaven.
Right.
It's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's based on you trying to open up and be
Mhm.
like, God, I want you, I need you.
Mhm.
You begin to see all those things differently, and
Yeah.
it will even come naturally without you having to think about it. That is
Mhm.
how sweet, and that is how it is like when you really follow Christ. When you
Mhm.
really follow the things of Christ, you realize that things begin to change. And that's one thing I love about this whole Christianity. It's
Mhm.
not just about the theory.
Mhm.
It's not just about we doing the talking.
Right.
I love the part where there's that practicability aspect of our religion, where
Mhm.
God performs things for us as well.
Yeah.
We go to Him as a Father. The Bible says, "Will you ask God for bread, and He's going to give you stone?" Like there's a passage like that. There's no
Mhm.
way you ask your Father for bread and He's going to give you stone. And sometimes it's not because you are going through tough times, because you are praying, you are not seeing results, because something happened to a friend of yours or someone closer to you, and you think you wanted God to intercede and God didn't intercede at that time. You think, oh, He's not God. If He's God, why is it that there are chaos, there are flood, there are earthquakes?
Mhm.
He's still God.
Right. Yeah. That sometimes reminds me of, I have 4 kids now, right? So I thought about like the uh, the life being created. Like it's really, God created the world. God created that world. Say God said, "Let there be light,"
Yeah.
and then there was light. And then God says, God created the world, right? There's mountains or river, or whatever. Then that happened.
Yeah.
And then God created people, right? And then it just happened. Just because God's breath, God's words that go into our lives,
Yeah.
that had a life, that just life just taking place just like that.
Yeah.
So it's just when I think about there's some, there's hardest kind of like, think about a baby
Yeah.
being there, right? And actually that's like to our humans technology, whatever, we cannot create a life like that. It's super complex, and it's still, I don't think, definitely I don't believe in like evolution stuff, but so just speaking of technology, it's hard to create a life. Like you create a baby, right? But just like a baby's taking place, a life happen. It just um, it just our people just do like a simple thing, and then the life just being created. It's God that does all the work. Right. When I was talking to, when my wife was pregnant, it's just like seeing the life, it just happen there. I was very amazed by it.
God is a good
We
God.
cannot make those things happen. God make those things happen. Yeah.
And sometimes you wonder how
When you look at the amazing mountains, when you look at this beautiful world,
where did they
right?
come from?
Look at the globe and look at the universe, right? All the planets,
There's
they
something.
work perfectly together,
Yeah.
right? There's a system behind it. Yeah.
I
So
love
I mean,
that.
I don't, and, like people have different logic. They say, well, they try to explain how we get here, right? How, like millions of years, whatever, right? The Earth come to this point, or why the universe work this way.
Mhm.
Guess what? There's a God behind it.
Mhm.
Yeah. When you see that, when you see God, when you meet God, when you have God in your life, and all of a sudden, like, that you understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my experience. There's so much confusions behind it. Back then, before I got to know God, and then once I know that, I got those wisdom. Like I knew, hey, God created the whole universe. God created the earth. God created us. That's the very different perspective I never understood before.
That's
Right?
so good.
Science, they couldn't understand it. Couldn't figure it out. Right? Yeah.
No, that's so true. And sometimes those are some of the things we reminiscence on, or we look at and we are like, this thing is different. Like how this thing is forming together.
Yeah.
That is God. Honestly, sometimes I wish I could prove it in a way for people to, but it's just high time people really, confess
Hmm.
and open up for God to take absolute control in their lives. Because honestly, I always say this: your experience with God is going to be very different from my experience with God, but it always comes together. You can see the similarities in there, and if you are able to have that encounter, you realize that you've taken a lot of things for granted. You were
Hmm.
not supposed to take them for granted. So, yeah, I pray. Yeah, in the Bible, Saul had an encounter. So, I pray people have an encounter with Jesus as well. And once you have an encounter, it changes your perspective. It changes your mindset.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right. So share with us, how important the community is for you, for your life quality and your spiritual growth when after you're in Boulder.
yeah,
Tell us about church, how it's a amazing community it is,
yeah. I
if that's
think,
your experience.
yeah. But I think, yeah, the community here is good. And I think basing it even on the scripture, I think Jesus had some good community around him,
Hmm.
talking about his disciples and the kind of community that he created. I think it really helps because even as a Christian, you can't do it all alone.
Hmm.
You need people. You get a point. And sometimes your blessing is going to come through someone. You get a point. So it's always good to be very intentional, the kind
Hmm.
of community that you are building in the United States. And when I came here, I was looking for a community, and I said, "Oh, okay, let me look for a church." And I
Hmm.
got a church. And Pinewood is very key when it comes to community building. Honestly, they are very, very, very good on that. So it really helps. And based on the community that I've been able to build, there are times, someone can just call, is everything okay? Okay, I want to pray for you. And sometimes it just spot on. Maybe you're
Hmm.
going through something, you needed someone to
Yeah.
pray for you.
Sometimes
That
God speak to you through some
yeah,
people.
through
Yeah.
someone,
Hmm.
so it has really helped me, honestly. And we've gotten a chance to go to Dallas with Brent,
Hmm.
Frank, for like 4 times or like 3 times. We've gone for Christian events, conferences there,
Hmm.
and it was really, really powerful. So you need that because even the Bible says it. Like the attacker, the accuser of the brethren, once you are together, it's very difficult for him to attack. But once you are alone, imagine the lion wants to attack the sheep, or
Hmm.
like the sheep, right?
Right.
So if the lion want to attack the sheep, and at the end of the day they are together, he can't because they are a lot.
Hmm.
But
Right.
if you separate yourself from the group,
Right.
then because you are alone, he
Hmm.
attacks.
Hmm.
He finds work
Vulnerable.
for the
Right. Yeah.
idle man.
Yeah.
You get it. Once you're idle, he finds something, he gives you some weird thoughts. So
Right.
it's always good to be in a community where you can share your beliefs,
Right.
what you are going through, and people will be able to speak in a way that sometimes you hear someone say, this thing is what I was expecting,
Hmm.
and it takes the burden away like
Yeah.
that. So I think it has been good for me. I know some people don't get that experience and exposure when they come to the state
Hmm.
based on the state where they find themselves. But I will entreat you, if you are watching this podcast, to be very intentional, finding a community
Hmm.
where you can really share with people some of these things because it helps you to take off some of the academic burdens as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just had a crew last night with Brent, and you know, with our crew, with the
Yeah.
Parker. So I really appreciate the opportunity like that. You people have, you know, we go to same church together. Also, you know, crew is a place that a small group that people could have more like, you know, have a deeper
Yeah.
conversations,
Yeah.
and then really hearing updates of each other's life and trying to be a support to each other. So this is so much value, and it's just so much blessings,
Yeah.
blessings to each other.
Yeah.
I really appreciate
It's,
that.
it's
Yeah.
good. You check the Bible
Mhm.
when Peter was arrested. How did Peter get out of prison? He got out of prison because there were a group of people who were praying for him.
Mm.
Peter got out of prison because they were praying for him in somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, when even when you are in trouble, it's the community, because honestly, power of corporate prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that your individual prayer is not going to work. It really works.
Yeah.
But we need that corporate anointing.
Mm-hmm.
We need that, because it's very different. Because Bible says where two or more
Mm-hmm.
are gathered, he is there. Yeah, it's a two or more are gathered, God is there. So that should tell you how God appreciates, you know, um, people coming together to, form groups and pray together and share the word together,
Yeah.
because it's very different. Because honestly, Justin, the kind of anointing or the kind of giftings you have is different from what I have
Mm-hmm.
as a Christian,
Right.
So you bring yours, I bring mine, we add it up, and you see how it becomes. And the enemy, the devil hates that. He doesn't want it when we come
Mm-hmm.
together like that, because
Right.
it gives a different vibe and different atmosphere altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad that you're in this
Yeah,
community.
I
This
think,
community has been blessed
yeah,
by, you know, by who you are and what you do to, you know, to be a support of this community.
yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you very
America is blessed because of you.
much.
America is a better place because of
More
you.
is coming.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So tell us more, you know, what you would like to do for your PhD program. You know, what's your vision? What you want to do after that, even, you know.
Yeah, so I think I want to go into education, like,
Higher education, right?
yeah, I want to
Yeah.
be an educationist,
Mhm.
and through that,
Mhm.
I'll also go with my Christian values and impact lives one way or the
Mhm.
other, because I feel
Yeah.
what we see in society starts from this higher education. Like,
Mhm.
it starts from the foundation. Those are the foundation. The students I'm teaching today are going to be the politicians tomorrow. They are going to be the ones taking the higher positions. And if these people are not oriented in a very positive manner, they will get up there and they will, distort things anyhow. So, yeah, I think that is why I see myself. I want to be up there in terms of educational ladder, where I can, impart and influence certain
Mhm.
decisions and certain influences with the grace of God.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm planning to do. I applied for 5 PhD programs, and so far I've heard from two. One for sure, I've gotten into University of Indiana Bloomington. So I'm waiting for other two
Mhm.
response. I got a rejection from Buffalo just today, so
That
I'm
happens.
waiting for. Yeah, it's part of the journey. So
There's their loss.
I'm waiting for the two others. Then I think, yeah, that's the future for me. And I also want to go into industry.
Mhm.
So being an educationist is also basically going to be in industry and all of that. But I also feel like a very strong call into ministry. I don't
Mhm.
know how. And it's something that I've been praying about for some time
Mhm.
now. So I'm trusting God for clear directions, what to do, because ministry work, a lot goes into ministry work, and I know Pastor Parker and Pastor Jess will attest to that. That a lot goes into ministry. So yeah, it's something that I'm still trusting God for,
Mhm.
and I still want to go into. So I want to be in academia, but not like a professor,
Mhm.
or I might have both legs, like one leg in academia, like professor
Yeah.
teaching, and one leg in industry as an
Mhm.
maybe a student affairs expert. So that is my vision for um, what God plans to do with me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you mentioned about ministry, you know, I feel like, you know, still a very small number of very small percentage of the people, Christians, right,
Yeah.
that go to like full-time ministry.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be full-time.
Yeah.
If you're working, making policies for education, right, promoting, see, there are some places are have discriminations on Christian education.
Yeah.
They don't allow Christian education to be present.
Yeah.
So things like that is not rare. I mean, it's not fair, right? So if you could, be in the States or in Ghana or other places to change that,
Yeah.
that brings huge influence,
Yeah.
impact to the world, right?
I think,
So that's kind of like, that's a positive thing. That's very needed. That has so much value. That brings the truth to the world.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like a full-time pastor to work on ministry,
Yeah.
right?
I think you make a very good point, and
Yeah.
that is something that sometimes get us off, record. Like
Yeah.
you don't even try at all. You don't
Mhm.
even, because you feel you are not standing on the pulpit, because maybe like even I can say, to the glory of God,
Mhm.
my social media platforms, one way or the other, is a ministry,
Mhm.
because sometimes I motivate people in a very godly
Mhm.
manner. So you don't have to be up there
Mhm.
or to get a clerical or to be on a pulpit like a full minister before you
Right.
think you are doing a ministry work.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think you make a very good case, and
Yeah.
I think this is
I mean,
good.
God created us differently.
Yeah,
Some people are, they love God, they glorify God in, education field,
Yeah.
in business, right, in or a full-time pastor,
Yeah.
right? Pastor in a church. So we just have different rules. It's like we have different part of the body of Christ.
Christ. Yeah. That's
So
so true.
yeah.
That's so true.
Well, I want to say that you are a person of righteousness. You cares, the Holy Spirit is in you. You know God,
Yeah.
and you love God, you love people.
Yeah.
So wherever you go, whatever you do, as long as you keep following God's steps,
Yeah.
be obedience to Him, I know that God is with you.
Amen.
Whatever field that you are at, yeah. So very excited about what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Praying for more grace. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I'll make sure people be able to find you on the find your channel.
Yeah, in fact,
Look
that's
at
what
the
I-
contents.
yeah.
Watch the YouTube channels.
Yeah.
And yeah, very excited about what's what's ahead of you.
Yeah.
PhD program. No matter it's Indiana or DU,
Yeah.
right? It'll be good to see you around.
Amen.
Yeah.
We're just following the steps of God. So
Uh-huh.
wherever He goes, we go.
Right,
If He
right.
stays, we stay.
Yeah. Cool. You are building a better world.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this podcast called Boulder Builders, right? You're building a good, solid foundation
Yeah.
for yourself and for the
Others.
community,
Yeah.
for Boulder, for America, for Ghana.
Yeah.
So I'm just want to say that I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I also appreciate you, honestly.
Yeah. Excited about what's ahead of you, and I'm sure that I'll have you back on this podcast
Anytime, I'll
Yeah.
come back. We have to have a session where it will just be about Christ,
Yeah. Right. Cool. Hey, thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
We had a very fun and smooth conversation.
Thank you. Good one.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's the show.